Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Ako po si Prosecution Attorney Paulo Martinez ng Kagawaran ng Katarungan. Pinatawag ko po ang press briefing na to ngayong hapon upang magbigay balita sa tatlong bagay. First, the Department of Justice is very pleased to announce the successful prosecution and conviction of accused Alice Leal Guo, aka Guo Hua Ping, following the promulgation of judgment by the Regional Trial Court of Pasig City in 8 consolidated cases docketed as, and if I may read, People of the Philippines versus Alice Leal Guo, aka Guo Hua Ping, Rachel Joanne Malonzo Carrion, Jiang Rui Jin, Bao Ying Lin, Yu Zheng Can, Dennis Lacson Cunanan, Jamelyn Santos Cruz, Roderick Paul Bernardo Pujante, Juan Miguel Alpas, Merly Joy Manalo Castro, Rita Sapnu Turalde, Rowena Gonzalez Evangelista, Thelma Barogo Laranan, Maybelline Riquiro Milio aka Shanayi, Walter Wong Rong, Ma Dhipong, Shikong Zhang aka Olaf, Wang Ye Hai, Nongding Chang, and Lang Su Po, aka Ah Soon. So on November 20, 2025, at 8:30 a.m. this morning, the Regional Trial Court rendered judgment finding the accused Alice Guo, among other respondents, or the accused, 7 other accused in this case, to be guilty beyond reasonable doubt of the crime of qualified trafficking in persons under Republic Act number 9208, as amended by RA number 10364, and RA number 11862. So as a brief backgrounder, the case emanated from accused Alice Guo's role in providing financial support to labor trafficking in her capacity as incorporator and director of Baofu Land Development Incorporated, Hongsheng Gaming Technology Incorporated, and Zunyuan Technology Incorporated. So Alice Leal Guo, along with the penalty of life imprisonment, was sentenced to Alice Guo, as well as her other co-accused, were sentenced to respectively suffer the penalty of life imprisonment in order to pay the fine of 2 million pesos each. So the department is very proud to announce a team of prosecutors who have successfully prosecuted and convicted prosecuted and led to the conviction of Alice Guo and her co-accused, and I name them as follows. The team was led by Deputy State Prosecutor Olivia L. La Rosa Torrevillas, Officer in Charge Senior Deputy State Prosecutor Herbert Calvin Abugan, former Deputy City Prosecutor Benjamin Samson, Senior Assistant State Prosecutor Ana Noreen De Vanadera, Deputy City Prosecutor Robinson Landicho, Senior Assistant City Prosecutor Neil Dueñas, Assistant City Prosecutor Iser Gatdula, Assistant State Prosecutor Yvette Coronel, Assistant State Prosecutor Ruth Ann Zamora, and Prosecution Attorney Andrea Adorna. Now, I would also like to take this occasion to announce that the department is likewise very pleased to announce and report the prosecution and the successful conviction of the biggest drug bust in recent history, which ultimately led to the conviction of accused Kong Ket Kun in criminal case number 2025-834. This case was tried in RTC Olongapo City, and the case involved a whopping 1.48 tons or 1,480,395.2 grams of methamphetamine hydrochloride, commonly known as Shabu. The decision was rendered on October 19, 2025, where the RTC of Olongapo found accused Ken Kun guilty beyond reasonable doubt of the crime of illegal possession of prohibited drugs under Section 11, Article 2 of RA 9165. This case specifically is something that the department would like to commend, particularly with the swiftness by which it was investigated. It was tried by the Regional Trial Court, and the conviction being upheld by the RTC of Olongapo City. So just a brief timeline of how it all began. The inquest investigation for this case was last June 21, 2025. This was following the apprehension of accused Kongket Kun in a maritime interdiction operation with the assistance of the Philippine Navy conducted on June 19, 2025. So barely half a year after the actual apprehension, the team of prosecutors were able to successfully prosecute the case, and which led to the conviction of said accused. Again, this is the biggest drug bust in history, in recent history. I would like to the department would like to commend the following prosecutors who have been handling the case. So that is Assistant State Prosecutor Mary Grace Pulido Sadian, Prosecution Attorney Teresa U. Arcelias, and Prosecution Attorney Ryan E. Leocario. Again, so all this has been developments in recent days alone, and I think it's safe to say that because of this, we are, and I would like to echo the former Secretary of Justice Ombudsman Boying Remulla, that the wheels of justice are definitely steering in the right direction. And that although sometimes processes may be slow, the long hand of the law will eventually reach you. And we would like to commend again the prosecutors. The department is very proud. Thank you. In addition to this, to these good news, I would also like to report current developments in the Taal Lake investigation with respect to the case of People versus Atong Ang. So on November 6, November 17, and November 18 of these past days, the CIDG Regional Field Unit of Region 4A conducted separate investigations in Taal Lake. This is following the resumption of the investigation in the diving operations, which were, if you recall, were suspended previously because of the typhoon and because of volcanic conditions of the Taal volcano in the area. So on November 6, we report that 25 pieces of alleged human skeletal remains were collected and were discovered and collected. On November 17, 6 pieces were then collected, and November 18, 26 for a total of 57 bones in the past weeks. I will be able to provide photos to the media afterwards. I have them in my phone. And so, any questions?
Or immediately executive decision ng court?
Opo, so right now she is currently detained and the judgment is immediately executory. So ibig sabihin, to answer your question, there is still a right to appeal, of course, from the RTC to the Court of Appeals. But that, as to the issue of her incarceration, nakakulong na po siya.
Doon po sa forfeiture ng Baofu compound, ano pong naging reason ng court para ma-forfeiture po yung compound?
So in criminal cases po kasi, if you are meted a punishment, if a guilty judgment is rendered against you, this necessarily comes with civil liabilities, no? So ang Baofu po, I have not read the entire case, no? But ang Baofu compound po was adjudged to be returned to the government. That Alice Guo was not in rightful possession of it, and that the government will then take ownership. Part of her civil duty to return the assets.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, ano lang po, this is a landmark case po ba? Concerning Pogo?
I think it would be too early to say it is a landmark case, no? Because in the legal world, ang landmark cases lang po pertain to decisions rendered by the Supreme Court. That is, Supreme Court decisions comprise what we call jurisprudence, which become basis for us lawyers to, or for lawyers in general, to cite. Diba? That's our case law. In litigation, hindi po magagamit agad ng regional trial court cases. It is only Supreme Court decisions which are considered landmark and which could be cited as case law in our practice. But if you mean, sir, if the term landmark is used loosely in such na, very unique, it is a, let's say, trailblazer, if you must, with respect to Pogo cases, then yes, we could say that. It may serve as a good precedent, if you may also.
Isang clarification
Sige
lang.
po.
Sir, ang nabanggit po kasi kanina, reclusion perpetua. Ano po ba talaga ito? Kasi this is under a special law.
Yes, yes,
Kaya
sir.
ang nabanggit po kasi kanina ay reclusion perpetua. Ano po ba talaga? Life imprisonment or reclusion perpetua po?
Sir, thank you for pointing out it's special law. So the distinction only applies in the law na pag reclusion perpetua, that's a maximum of 40 days, 40 years rather. Life imprisonment is pretty much the same. It's just that the terminology is different because of the distinction of this law as a special one. Whereas ang reclusion perpetua under the RPC or Revised Penal Code typically only applies to cases or to crimes under the Revised Penal Code.
Follow-up question na dun sa forfeiture. Yung pa-access value the property at around 6 billion, ano po ba sir ang mechanics niyan nung how the government can best use it or can it use it immediately?
Sorry, sir, can what?
Can government utilize it immediately or for any purpose?
Okay, so typically, sir, no, properties which revert back to the state will then have to go through, like money, for example, have to go to the National Treasury. So no government agency or no one in particular has the capacity to be able to make use of these assets right away. May proseso pa po yung gagawin. Again, as to the specifics of the forfeiture, I cannot explain for now because I have not read the complete decision. But generally speaking, that is how it's done.
Sir, also a few months back there was this Chinese national in Malaysia, in Australia, identified that they were similarly situated as Alice Go and they were acting at the behest of foreign government. This decision, does it send a message to that foreign government about, meddling covertly or overtly in the affairs of the Republic?
Yes, sir, of course. The answer would be in the affirmative. Again, like as I said earlier, although this case may not be considered landmark yet within the context of the law, of legalese, masasabi po natin na precedent na to for actions that the government may do. Again, not just the courts, not just lawyers in the legal profession, but as well as every foreigner who may try to violate our laws, who may try to commit or circumvent our laws here, prejudice our citizens. So it's a very good precedent, I would say. Kasi if I could just add to that, just because the case specifically pertains to Pogo doesn't necessarily mean that it applies only to Pogo. Okay, the facts and the discussion on the discussion on how the conspiracy was effectuated, for example, on the violations made, on how the actions led to labor trafficking and so. These can all be cited as jurisprudence, not just for Pogo cases exclusively. Okay, so again, it serves as a wake-up call as well to all those who would try to violate our laws, especially from foreign nations.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Just going back to yung forfeiture case and the legal basis why the property was forfeited in the first place. I haven't read the decision, but based ba yun doon sa incapacity ni Alice Go to own property because she had been declared as a foreign national, or is it because arising from yung civil liability niya ex-directo na galing doon sa criminal case niya? Ano ba yung naging legal basis? Why? Kasi parang private property, finorfeit natin para sa government. So ano yung pinaka-basis niya talaga? Bakit kinuha natin kung may ownership naman talaga in the first place?
That's a good question, sir. No? Again, I have not read the case entirely yet, but the civil forfeiture, I would think that the ownership would be relinquished from her, considering her status. No, so I believe, without of course speaking definitively as to what the merits of the case have stated with respect to civil forfeiture, I would say that that is a ground. Also, I would like to emphasize the civil liability ex delicto. Thank you, sir, for mentioning that. That is attached to criminal liability. Okay na po.
Other issue daw.
Yung mga police niya na at large, anong epekto? Ang ang epekto? Naging 4 of them are still at large?
Yes, opo. So, if you're pertaining to, well, I will not name personalities per se, but I would just like to also inform the media that the National Prosecution Service currently has other pending cases involving Alice Guo. We have a money laundering case pending currently with the courts of Pasig, and 2 to 3, a few falsification cases, falsification of public documents. One, if I'm not mistaken, is sitting in Cabanatuan, Nueva Ecija. The other one is in Pasig. As to the respondents there, kung the decision here, may factual milieu po dito, that courts in other cases could take judicial notice of. But, of course, that is not to say that even though their personalities are similarly situated, like you said, sir, hindi naman kasi pare-pareho ang circumstances and facts among these cases. So, although they do involve the same personalities, we cannot say for certain how the facts of this case or the judgment here would affect those in the other cases. But if nagka-judgment na po dito ang court, then we would have a good idea, a very strong idea of how or where those cases may lead to, no?
Sir, good afternoon. Other matters po. It's okay.
Yes, okay.
Okay. About Harry Roque po, aside po ni Yusek T, may motion na raw po ang fiscals to cancel his passport. May we ask when, and can you please explain po ano pong pwedeng mangyaring sunod?
Okay, so just generally speaking, ma'am, no, legally, the motion to cancel passport can only be done in the court of law, in a court of law. So unless a court adjudges na the passport is to be canceled, then the department, being part of the executive branch or the department on its own, cannot cancel the passport. The DFA perhaps may do so, but again, only the courts have compelling enough powers to be able to order the cancellation of a passport through the judge.
Pero sir, tama po yung confirmed naman po no, na may motions na po.
I have not received information with respect to that, no. So I could just give a general idea of how it's normally done.
Okay, sir. Last po is nalipat na raw po yung case na to Pasig RTC.
Yes. Okay, so I cannot give a confirmation na yes or no, but I do know that there are plans to do so. So if they have not been transferred yet, you could expect that to be transferred soon. I also recall a previous Supreme Court circular or order stating that all cases related to POGO will have their venues transferred to Manila, to Metro Manila. So it would be safe to assume, if to say that natatransfer na nga yan.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
DOJ expecting the same decision as that in Guo's case on the case of Harry Roque?
Again, sir, we cannot say for certain because unless they are the same person under the same factual circumstances, we cannot say for certain that the court will rule in the same manner. We could only surmise really at this point. For us to also comment on what the facts may be in that particular case would be the sub judice, siyempre. It's a violation of the sub judice rule. But again, I think what's important is that we understand that with this recent case, it will serve as a good precedent for all cases in the future, for all actions by government. And so while nothing is certain, we could see where the whole process is steering to, and the direction it's taking.
Or at least hopeful that...
Yes, of course, sir. That's a good way to put it.
Sir, good afternoon. Yung po sa bagong request ng ICI sa Ilbaw, na-approve na po ba ng ni Sec Vida?
I have seen the request, no, sir. Currently, it has not yet been replied to by the Acting Secretary of Justice. But I do not, ano na po yan? I think it's par for the course. It's par for the course. It will be approved. I think so. Hindi ko pa po. As of today, no, sir, I have not received confirmation that the Office of the Secretary has received it. I got in touch with them earlier. But again, like with all ILBOs issued, considering the power that the ILBO has, what I mean by that is it cannot prevent anyone from exercising the right to travel if they wish to do so, no. So I think there is no barrier to be able to approve that. But again, I cannot speak for the Secretary until he has himself spoken about this matter.
Pwedeng sabihin na nakarating na sa kanya yung info o kung hindi man personal na natanggap yung request.
Kung hindi pa po niya natatanggap, nakita niya na, I would say.
Sir, on Zaldigo, ano po yung ginagawang action ng DOJ? May nag-file na po ba ng complaint gamit po yung ebidensya na using his videos? Kasi kailangan di ba i-file muna para magamit ng DOJ for investigation?
That's correct, sir. So right now, to be categorical, wala pa pong complaint na fa-file. I know that law enforcement is looking into it, being that their mandate. Klaruhin lang po natin na ang mandato po kasi ng DOJ ay mag-imbestiga only upon the filing of a complaint. Okay? Unlike the Ombudsman, for example, which has powers under the Ombudsman Act to initiate investigation motu proprio or on its own, the DOJ is not granted the same breadth or freedom as the Ombudsman. So our mandate begins upon the filing of a complaint. So right now, wala pa po na pa-file dito, but that does not mean na wala na investigation that being conducted by, say, NBI, for example.
Same dun, sir, sa accusation ni Senator Amy Marcos kay PBBM na hindi kayo pwede mag-initiate, mag-investigate.
Could you clarify that, sir? Again?
Kasi parang sabi po ni Past Press Officer, na it's up to the DOJ po kung mag-investigate dun sa sinabi po ni Senator Amy Marcos. Ano po yung action na ginagawa ng DOJ?
Oh, well, right now, sir, wala. Okay? What I mean by that is because, again, the criminal justice system is initiated by the filing of a complaint. So unless someone files a complaint in court, files a complaint with the DOJ for us to begin preliminary investigation, hindi pa, actually, ang first step pa nga po is evaluation eh. And then we evaluate if the case has enough evidence to proceed to preliminary investigation. It's a two-tiered investigation procedure here in the DOJ as part of our prosecutorial function. So unless may mag-file po, wala pa po kaming mandato or imprimatur to really look into it. And we will also ask the question of sino po magpa-file, di ba? Because only the aggrieved party can really file a complaint.
Sir, pinapakonfirm lang po ng Ombudsman reporter. Yes, sabi daw po ni Ombudsman Rimulya, the DOJ is inclined na gawing state witness si former Undersecretary Bernardo. Would you confirm po din?
I'll have to, invoke Section 7 of the WPBS law, in this case, the confidentiality provision. No, in any case, if and when any of the personalities become state witnesses, you will hear from the department.
Yung nagbalik na po, nag-restitute na, yung may sinuli ba si Bernardo?
No, sir, wala pa pong restitution na gaganap at all. Okay? And if meron nga po, you will be informed of it. But then the restitution itself begs the question of meron na bang memorandum of agreement, which is also something that we cannot confirm yet, again, in accordance with the confidentiality provisions. So restitution is only a term which could be included sa memorandum of agreement if any was indeed executed between the parties. So these are all questions right now which are currently pending. And if magkaka-development, we will inform the public, of course, of the whole process kung sino magiging state witness. What we just cannot disclose right now is yung applications, the processes pending the assessment of whether or not they are qualified to be state witnesses, but the end result is something that we could provide eventually.
Sir, just going back shortly to yung only the aggrieved party can file a complaint.
Yes, sir.
I-expound lang natin ng konti, sir. Bakit yung ginawa ni Senator Marcos would need na ang private party lang ang mag-file ng complaint? Ano bang evaluation nyo dun sa ginawa niya in the first place na parang yung aggrieved party lang ang pwedeng mag-file ng complaint? Pa-expound na lang ng konti. Why is that so, sir?
I'm sorry, sir. You mentioned...
Kasi parang libel, sir, di ba? Yung ginawa, parang I think that's what you're saying na only the aggrieved party. Parang ganun ba yan, sir?
Yes, the person affected. So in a case, for example, if I were to make liable statements about anyone, then that person of whom I made those liable statements about would be the only person who has the capacity to file the case with the DOJ. So I cannot speak on behalf of the good president or any person that the good senator did mention in her speech.
Follow-up sa question ni Gino. May precedent, sir, in the case ni President Gloria Aquino when she sued for libel the late Riverbank, who wrote or said that she hid under the bed. But legally, it became a situation which backfired to because Cory herself was hailed to court and made to testify. In this case, sir, that is between the siblings. Do you think it's legally perilous for the president to pursue if he felt offended by what was said?
Sorry, sir, could you?
By himself. If you were not DOJ, would you recommend that the president sue for libel, considering this is the president?
No, sir, I cannot give recommendations in my capacity as a lawyer. No.
You would not. Okay.
Hypothetically kasi, with those statements, of course, it's not just one charge. You can come up with different charges for it. If you're also a creative lawyer who is an advocate and as lawyers, as litigators, you would be an advocate for a certain position at any given time. So it would be presumptuous for us or to surmise what the charge may be at this point. No. Again, it's a multitude of different crimes under the revised penal code and special penal laws. So it would be premature and presumptuous for us to say what the crimes may be. We could only perhaps theorize, no, at best. Okay, so I'll take one more question. Okay, sige. Thank you po.